The Electro Archon, a god with seemingly no love for her people, focused on pursuing never-ending and unchanging eternity. But after the events of Inazuma's final Archon quest, we finally have a better understanding on her past. This is the origin of Baal. Baal, the god of eternity, the original Electro Archon of Inazuma. After winning the Archon War, Baal took her place as the Electro Archon, but unbeknownst to her people, one of her closest friends, Beezebel, would be joining her as the second Electro Archon. Baal and Beezebel, lesser known as A and Makoto, worked together to run Inazuma. Makoto taught A several things while they ruled together. Makoto's Miso no Hitotachi, a sword art form once used as a symbol of peace, is something A still uses to this day. Since they ruled together, the task of one Archon was split into two. Makoto handled most of the day-to-day affairs, but since she wasn't much of a fighter, A took care of the Inazuman military. The two Archons were almost identical to one another, so as far as the people of their nation and the people of Teyvat were aware, there was only one Electro Archon, Baal, the Raiden Shogun. This title usually referred to both of them. Before becoming the current Electro Archon, A would mainly be a samurai responsible for carrying out Makoto's orders. Even though A focused on military matters, she also had her moments of relaxation, away from battle and the duties of an Archon. She would spend time sitting with her friends under sakura trees, sit by the moonlight reading poetry, and occasionally pester her friends into a game of Karuta, which is a card game she used to practice every day. She would never win in Karuta, always being bested by Chiyo or Sasayuri, two of her closest friends. Then one day, she finally defeated every single one of her opponents, letting out a victorious whoop and claiming the prizes provided by Kitsune Saigu, another one of her friends. After seeing that A had lost her composure, her friends would burst out laughing. They wouldn't help but laugh at this rare side of her. A spent a lot of time with Makoto, and in doing so, she was able to understand and learn from the wisdom of her friend. Makoto and A both understood that erosion would always be present, and that it would be a hindrance to their ideal eternity. But unlike A, Makoto tended to live in the present, not knowing about what the future had to offer. Makoto greatly loved and appreciated the scenery of Inazuma, its cuisine, and her people, and of course, she told A all about it. Seeing how Makoto was so content with what she had, A thought to herself that she should learn to relax and take time to appreciate the present. But before she could learn this life of leisure, Makoto, the Electro Archon, dies. The Cataclysm, a major event 500 years ago leading to the destruction of Conria and most of its people. This event caused dark forces to invade all 7 nations of Teyvat. This led to A fighting alongside Baal, Chiyo, Kitsune Saigu, and Takamine, a martial artist and a friend of Saigu. All of her friends were overwhelmed by the dark forces, and eventually they all met their doom. Her friend Chiyo was swallowed whole by one of the dark creatures, a beast with a tiger's body and a snake's tail, and once she was saved by A, Chiyo was corrupted, stained by something called deep sin, and this led to her drawing her blade against her former friend. Before A could even consider ending the life of someone she held so close to, Chiyo fled into the forest, leaving her fate unknown. During the chaos, Takamine was overwhelmed by the dark forces. After the events of the Cataclysm had ended, Takamine managed to survive and returned home to reunite with his friend and love interest at the time, Hibiki. When he returned, he was killed by Hibiki, she viewed this act as a way of saving him. Kitsune Saigu was also overwhelmed by the dark forces. Before she died, she asked the beast to spare her memories. These memories would later live on to become Kazari, a shrine maiden we meet during the quest, the Sakura Cleansing Ritual, where Kazari performs this ancient cleansing ritual on the land one last time. Baal, Makoto, was killed during this devastating battle. Before her dying breath, she gave her sword the Miso Ishin and her title as the Raiden Shogun to A. All of her closest friends, her family, gone, and now A holding the blade of her fallen comrade, her mentor, and her friend. All life on Inazuma faded in her eyes. That day, she truly felt the destruction and agony of erosion. A took it upon herself to enforce eternity, so that she would never be hurt by this erosion ever again. To uphold this eternity, A created a puppet. This puppet would be almost identical to her. It would be the one to reach A's ideal eternity, while she would rest in her mind. Of course, she considered the hidden risks involved and worked hard to make sure this puppet would carry through with her ideals. The puppet then became the new Raiden Shogun. A retreated into her dreamscape, giving her gnosis to Yaemiko, a fox familiar with A. The puppet took control of Inazuma, and the process of eternity began. Inazuma has probably one of the best Archon quests ever, and I encourage everyone watching to play the Archon quest and then come back and watch the video. Now, I hope you guys learned a bit more about the tragic origins of our beloved Electro Archon, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe with notifications on, and maybe check out the story of Inazuma. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys all later.